Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of the Zen Curious podcast. I'm Kiera Hanselman, and I'm so excited to be here with my co-host, Lauren Tancredi. Today, we are going to be talking a bit about who we are, how we met, and what inspired us to start this journey together. We'll share some personal stories and how we began the journey of reconnecting with our inner selves to find peace and fulfillment. This episode is all about embracing that curiosity, trusting your internal compass, and finding balance in the mind, body, and spirit. Plus, don't forget to check out our free 7-day awareness challenge available on our website, www.thezencurious.com, or you can check out the links in the show notes. It's time to let go of old conventions, challenge old beliefs, and uncover the tools and wisdom that lead you to a life of peace and wholeness. The journey begins now. This is the Zen Curious. All right. Today is a super exciting day. We are making our debut. And my name is Kiera Hanselman.
I'm Lauren Tancredi, and this is the Zen Curious.
Zen Curious. Yeah, we are... Just wanted to share a little bit about ourselves today, let you all get to know us, why we're here, what we plan on talking about, and we're excited about this journey.
So Kiera and I have known each other for a little bit over 2 years now, and as women in the healthcare space, we noticed that there's a little bit of a gap between the mind-body-spirit connection and our own personal paths towards feeling fulfilled and alive in our everyday lives. And so one of the things that we found in terms of a commonality with each other is just like this journey towards self-awareness, and what we have determined is like really a pathway to peace.
Yeah.
A piece of coming home to self in this human existence, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that being exposed to people like you, Lauren, and over the course of my career has really helped me get to the place where I'm sitting here having this conversation, being in awareness or even working on that journey, because for a lot of my life, which is one of the reasons why I think it's this conversation of curiosity is so important. Most of my life up until the last 5 or so years has been in unawareness, unawareness of what was going on, and in this kind of autopilot that I realized I did not want to be on anymore. It wasn't my story. I wanted to recreate the story, and that's one of the reasons why I think we connected, because I could see that in you.
Yeah. And I think to your point, it's like I felt very much like living in this duality of like being a spiritual being, having this human existence, and the human existence kind of dominating the show, right? Where I have to show up and make money and achieve and have success. And then like what happened was it started just sucking the life out of me and dimming my light. So I wasn't feeling the peace and contentment and fulfilled and alive. And like my prayer for this podcast is like, how do we help bridge the gap?
Right.
Because you can have and do and be both simultaneously. And so how do we explore this path towards peace so that you can choose the emotion and your come from, and then everything else just becomes secondary.
Right. And I think like I observe there's a lot of awakening happening, and we could talk about what that means, but there's a lot of people coming into awareness, but there's still a lot of people that are not. And I'm not saying that from a place of judgment. I'm saying that from a place of I have been there, and I know what it feels like, and I know what kind of sickness that creates. I mean, if you look at statistics, we're on more medications, we're more depressed, yet we have more than we've ever had, and there's a reason. Like the peace does not come from the stuff. The peace does not come from the money. The peace does not come from the achievements. It's something so much deeper than that. And, you know, in the same line with what you were saying, that is my goal, is in this conversation that we get to have together over the course of our podcast, is to bring awareness to those things.
Yeah, to bring awareness to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so to your point, like, it can feel ugly and confusing, and you question your reality, and you're unlearning all of the things that you thought were true with a capital T to like build your worldviews and foundations. And at sometimes, like, it feels disorienting when you're having these moments of awakening. You don't know where to go. You don't know who you are. You don't know what to believe anymore. And so part of the resources and tools that we want to provide for you are ways to come back to your internal GPS, the inherent knowing that you are, so that you're not looking for the validation externally, to make sure that you don't feel crazy and disoriented. And, you know, like, what does it mean to be awake? And for me, it's really about trusting the internal source, your connection to source, your connection to God, connection to the universe, whatever you want to call it, and moving from that place instead of waking up and scrolling on this bad boy and being like, this is what I need to be doing today.
Yeah.
And being in judgment and comparison and lack and limitation. And I mean, for me, like, shopping before I even get out of bed and buying $100 worth of stuff, like that, you know, this is a program, right? This all has been a program for us, and we've taken bits and pieces. And if we can, like, if humans were computers, like, we've been building our operating system. And the beautiful thing is that we get to defragment and upgrade. And so that's what the awakening is, right? It's our opportunity to create the hard drive, the operating system, and the visuals that we want to have in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to share, and it's really important for me to say this, that I am not an expert. I am not a guru. Most of the time I'm listening, and all of these conversations spring from curiosity that either I or Lauren bring to the table. And so they're conversations. They are opportunities to explore things. Just like you don't want to get your story externally from things like work or career. Don't get your story from us. This is just an opportunity to, you know, dig into areas of your life, dig into things that maybe you haven't thought about before, and figure out what that means for you. A lot of this is the dialogue between Lauren and I, and the conversations and the things that are going on in our life. But we think that there's probably parallel and overlap, because a lot of us are living very similar experiences. But also, it's really important that you don't take either of our word for it, and this is a journey that you take for yourself. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I think that's a really poignant point. It's like, you know, we're all unique individuals having a human experience. And so take from this the nuggets that feel good for you. If it doesn't, leave it, you know? And that's okay. Like, sometimes you get one thing out of a 20 or 30 minute episode and you're like, okay, this can be life changing. And other times you're like eating it up like a bowl of popcorn, you know, and just loving it. And so use what feels good for you, work with what feels good with you, leave the rest.
Yep.
I mean, ultimately, like Kiera said, like, this is about you opening up a healthy level of skepticism, a healthy level of curiosity, to just be in question of what we've created in our own realities, and what we might want to actually hold as our truth or believe is possible for ourselves and for each other, and really, from my perspective, for humanity.
Yeah. All of the work that we do on ourselves individually only contributes to the bigger picture, to the collective at large. And so we can't change anything externally. We can only change and work on what's happening internally. So that's where this starts for me.
Yeah.
That's where this journey starts.
Amazing.
But definitely doesn't end.
Never.
Forever ongoing.
Continues to deepen, right? It's like the Fibonacci sequence or the spiral of life. It only goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And so, we're just continuing to unfold like the many layers in an onion and peel it back and see what's there and keep going. And sometimes it brings tears and other times it brings laughter and joy, but ultimately it brings us closer to home to ourselves.
Right. Yep.
So, you want to talk a little bit about who you are and why we're here?
Let's do that. Where do you want to start?
I could start.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So throughout these episodes, you'll learn more about us, right? And the dialogue that we have to help support one another. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren Tancredi. I was raised in Connecticut by my loving mother and father who were doing the best they could. And so you'll hear me tell stories of how I was brought up and what I made that mean for me in my own existence. I have a beautiful brother and sister and 7 stepbrothers and sisters and nieces and nephews. I reside in the lovely state of Florida, which you'll also hear me talk about hurricanes and natural disasters and all kinds of cool things. And I would say like my personal path to spiritual awakening or my journey to peace has really been through my own like desire to constantly seek. Like I am a seeker. I'm always asking questions. I'm always diving in. I'm always reflecting back. And I would say like, I remember growing up in my house in Connecticut and being probably 6 or 7 years old and questioning where I came from and knew it had to do something with the stars. Like I vividly remember this moment in time. And ever since then, I've been this really deep kind of thinker and like trying to make sense of everything, which ultimately led to me to be an overthinker, an overachiever, putting a lot of pressure on myself to the point where we kind of alluded to initially was like where I started feeling super dysregulated and depressed to the point where I've tried to take my own life. I've been institutionalized. I've been medicated. I've been in therapy. Like I've done all the things, disassociated, been on drugs, like, you name it, I've likely been there or close to there or know somebody who has because they probably ran in my circle. And so lived through this journey of like being a very deep feeler to going through these aspects of disassociation because I couldn't make sense of what I was feeling. And now, through the past decade or so, like really bringing myself back online and loving and accepting who I am and who I'm being in the world so that I can support and encourage others to do the same. Because it feels really big and scary until you actually have the support, guidance, and tools to know how to start to navigate these pathways to peace. And so I would say, yoga was definitely one of the biggest door openers for me in terms of finding quietude and solace in who I was being and having these euphoric states of bliss being met through breath work and yoga. And I started to realize like, oh my gosh, there's something else here for me. Like, how do I get curious? How do I explore? And leading to a pathway of personal development and I was telling one of my friends the other day, like I've probably invested over $100,000 in myself in the last 10 years, just going to conferences and personal development workshops and coaches and like really diving in and doing my own work so that I can feel good, feel happy, experience this state of what I would deem aliveness every single day. I don't want to just show up and do the things anymore. And I see so much of humanity suffering because they're not living in alignment with who they actually are, but who they think they should be. And so human design, again, another great tool that I've learned to navigate and help others understand about themselves that allowed me to have a deeper level of acceptance for who I was and how I was engaging and creating in the world. And so I wanted to be a healer. I wanted to do social work. I wanted to be a teacher. Like I went to nursing school for a while and I ended up in healthcare, right? Doing the business side of healthcare because I'm a badass at business and it's just really what I do. And I've had a really hard time like being a spiritual being with a really highly matrix-like job. And everybody would come to me and be like, I want help with business. And I'm like, but I want to be the spiritual person. Like, why does everybody want me to do the matrix stuff? Like, I really want to operate over here. And so my goal is to really help bridge the gap, and how do we like not be separate and dualistic in these things, but allow them to be integrated so that we can be in the completeness, the wholeness, although imperfectly, perfect experience of our being. And so I'm excited for this opportunity to jam on a whole variety of like what it took to get here and navigating all of these aspects of self, but additionally like really allowing my personal passion, which is like to help the healing of humanity.
Yeah.
And since I can't do that because I am not a doctor, I've been doing it on behalf of doctors in various ways up until this point. And really what I'm inviting in now is the thought or concept that our humanness has the innate ability to heal itself when we can actually listen. And this is where we start to find our greatest peace.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, thank you for sharing all that. And I know that we're going to get to know you more and know more about all of your really amazing, unique experiences. Literally, y'all will get to know her more, but she's one of the most interesting and has some of the most incredible stories. I love hearing about your different experiences, and they also make me so aware of what's possible. I really love to see that in you.
Thank you.
So a little bit about my story. I've always considered myself to be a spiritual person. I grew up Catholic. Lived with my mom and dad and brother and sister. Our family unit was together. We moved a lot. I was born in New Jersey, lived in North Carolina for 10 years, and then moved down to South Florida. Eventually came up to Tallahassee, Florida. Met my husband, and we started a family of our own. But again, I was always a spiritual person and also a seeker, curious, really curious about different religions and different experiences, and how beautiful the way that everybody looks at the world differently is. I really love to explore those types of things. But my journey with this inner peace started out just like most of the things in my life, like something to achieve. And so it was really more self-help focused. Like, how do I fix these things in myself so that I can achieve more, do more, get more, be more, etc. And it wasn't until I was successful in terms of societal standards of what success looks like financially, job title, family, and I was feeling like very empty. And I was feeling like it shouldn't be this hard, and why am I not happy? And so what I realized I was focusing so much on my work that my family life was really being sacrificed. And for what? That was the question I was asking myself. For what? Because if I left this job tomorrow, nobody's going to care. Really, they're going to replace me. And they would. But my family couldn't do that. And so I really started to shift my focus on, or attempt to shift my focus on what is important to me. It wasn't this job. It wasn't this money. It wasn't this title. Although I thought that's what I wanted. And so I read a book called Essentialism. I'm so bad at remembering the author's names, but I'll make sure you have the link if you're interested. I read this book called Essentialism, and it's really a book about how to stick with the things that you're really good at and say no to all the other stuff, so you can do what's essential, right? And from there, I started to say, wow, I don't have to do everything. Like, it was permission. And then that just opened a book to another door, that opened a book to another door, that started to get me into a meditation practice. And that was really my first time ever being still. Ever. And I can remember the first time I tried to meditate or was even like considering it. I was like, who can sit still for that long? And we're talking 20 minutes. Who can sit still for 20 minutes? I was like, I can't sit still for 20 minutes. There's way too much to do. And the first time I did it, it was a struggle. Like my brain kept going in all of these different directions, and I couldn't really focus on not focusing on anything. But I realized that eventually that was all part of the practice, and quickly realized that I did have 20 minutes to do that. And then everything started to unfold from there for me. I got into sound. I've always been a vocalist. I've loved music. Sound is a profound healing mechanism, and I've been practicing that for the last few years as a healing modality. And just each day I spend in practice, I feel like kind of unravels a little bit more of the conditioning and the unearthing of who I've always been, or remembering of who I've always been, who I am. And that's what this is about for me. Me kind of sharing that journey, you guys getting to watch, if you're interested, what that looks like, because it is a process. The struggle still exists. It's more about just being in awareness of it, and really trying to figure out how to love myself and give myself grace despite what's happening externally, because there's always going to be the distractions. So, I mean, I'm sure I'll get into more detail of specific scenarios or things that led me down certain paths, but like in a nutshell, my journey has really been about taking me from a place of needing my self-worth and validation to come from something external, and figuring out how to create that that intrinsic value simply because of who I am.
Yeah. Beautifully said. I mean, you are so worthy and deserving, and it's been beautiful to watch, like your journey over the last year and a half or so that I've known you, and even the unfolding, like watching what you're instilling on the future generations through your children and family here. Yeah. And so you can see that you've put in a lot of time and dedication to making that happen. And for those of you that are watching and are interested, like, this gets to be a conversation. It's a conversation with Kiera and I, but also a conversation with you. So my invitation is, as you start to see, hear, listen to what it is that we're sharing, get curious, ask yourself questions, ask us questions. You want to know more, you want to learn about different things. We've got a beautiful network of people that we get to bring in to support, help, educate, teach, and and maybe uncover a new possibility for ourselves and for you. And so the invitation is open to help us be in dialogue with you all as we move forward on this pathway to peace together.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to talking to you in our next episode.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
If you've been listening along, you have heard me talk about the 7-day free awareness challenge that we have right now on our website and linked in the show notes. This is a workbook that offers a structured and gentle approach to cultivating mindfulness and self-awareness. So if you've never engaged in any of these practices before, this is a great place to start and kind of dip your toe in the water in a lot of different practices and modalities to help bring about more awareness. So each day, participants are introduced to a different practice, such as recognizing the power of choice, observing thoughts, and deepening awareness of emotions. This awareness challenge was designed to help us peel back the layers of societal conditioning and challenge participants to discover some of the hidden aspects of themselves that influence their daily lives. Activities include journaling prompts, reflection exercises, and mindfulness techniques that foster a deeper connection with the present moment. By completing the challenge, participants are going to identify patterns and be able to let go of some self-limiting beliefs and embrace a more peaceful and intentional way of living. If you have not yet downloaded the workbook, we hope you check it out and join us on this 7-day awareness challenge. Thanks for joining us on the Zen Curious. For links to some of the resources we discussed in today's podcast, you can check out the show notes. And if you want to connect with us further, you can find us on Instagram at the Zen Curious or leave us a comment or review. We look forward to hearing from you.